Well, g'day, and welcome back again to Zhaoqing. And today we've just been out looking for a walkway up on this hill behind us. A new walkway which I thought would be open by now. It's not open. We did record a video as we were walking there. Whether or not I'm going to post that, I don't know. I guess by now you'll know because it will have been posted before this one. But as we're walking back home, I've had a few comments on videos that I want to respond to. A couple of really good questions. One that was a little bit snarky, but I don't know that it was meant to be snarky. It was just stating something that somebody believed, which I think is wrong, but time will tell. On the fireworks video, which I think was the last video we did, somebody commented, who was this? Google friendly username. I like that. Good name choice. Some of the best I remember here in the US was in the mid-1990s on the Mississippi River in St. Charles, Missouri? I'm not sure. 4th of July, similar fireworks, but of course we didn't have the drones. It's literally 30 years since I've been impressed with a fireworks display like that. Well, I'm glad it impressed you. Yeah, I was really impressed. The fireworks were fantastic. The drone show, overall the drones weren't as good as I've seen, but what sort of swings that in the drone's favor is the fact that it's the first time I got to see drones with the fireworks attached. I've seen videos of them, I've never seen them live. So just for that reason, that's my favorite drone show yet in China. The actual drones and the constructions in the sky, well, maybe not as good. They maybe didn't do as much as others, but incorporating the fireworks was bloody fantastic. Right, where was the other? There's a couple there that I wanted to get onto. Okay, so here we have Blue Star 2253 said, China on steroids will soon suffer from the same fate Japan went through, work fatigue. To which we got actually we haven't got all the replies. We won't go through the replies that people made, but I don't think you're right. If China had kept going on the same path that it was going 10 years ago, where people were working very, very long hours and companies had a lot of ability to push workers really, really hard. Yeah, that could have been the case, but the government has stepped in, has made new rules, workplace rules and stuff, and they seem to be working really well. I haven't been everywhere in China. I can't speak for everywhere. I can speak for the places I've been. I've not really met many people who I would say are overworked. People do work hard here, but they also have plenty of leisure time here. Japan, sort of the 1980s, 1990s, had a reputation of people working very, very long hours. If you weren't in at work an hour before you were due to start, you were deemed as not being committed enough to your work and stuff like that. So it wasn't just companies that sort of forced people to work those long hours and stuff. It was more than that. It was a work culture. It was part of the society, which I hope they've changed. And I wasn't in Japan during those times. Maybe it's all just rumors and it wasn't actually true. But in terms of things changing here, things have changed here. I don't see China doing that, and the government here is very on top of things. If that sort of, you know, work fatigue stuff starts to become a regular problem, the government will step in pretty quickly and do something about it. They don't let problems like that fester here for very long. They get on top of things very, very quickly. Get across this road really quickly. It's a busy little intersection here, no traffic lights. So, yeah, work fatigue and stuff. Couple of the comments here, someone said keep on dreaming, to which this original commenter said, don't laugh, the signs are there. China's declining population and aging population are clearly evident. Just take a look at Japan. This is what China will be in another 10 years. I don't think so. I would have to ask you, dear commenter, have you actually been to China? You know, and if you have, maybe you've been to places I haven't been, but the places I've been, it's just not a thing. It's not, yeah. I don't see work fatigue being a big problem, and as I say, if it becomes a problem, the government will step in pretty quickly. You know, for all you Americans talking about the government for the people, by the people and all that, I don't really believe that in America. I think China is a hell of a lot more for the people than anywhere else. As hard as that is to believe if you've been only exposed to sort of Western propaganda and Western politicians. Right, well, there was another one here. 86 Larway. Very interesting. As an engineer, I'd love to tour that place. Well, Dave, if you fancy coming over to Sing Sing with me sometime, I'll try and organise it for you. Yeah, just come over sometime. Come and do a visit with me. Yeah, Dave's down in, where is he? Down in Shenzhen. Another YouTube creator. Right, who have we got here? Ito8034. They are made, so this is from the Link Fair factory tour that we did, which, yeah, that video did really well. I think we're up over 3,000 views now. Added probably 50 subscribers from that video. Some of them, when they realize that's not the type of content I always do, will probably disappear. But that's life. They are making affordable pots and pans for the entire world to better the human condition, whereas the US is making bombs and bullets to worsen the human condition. Yeah, couldn't imagine, couldn't agree more. The manufacturing hub of the world, really. You look at the numbers of what is produced in China, the quantities, and how much of the world relies on China for their goods and not services so much, but for their goods. It's pretty amazing. There was one. We're on to, okay, got to go back to comments, notifications. There was another one here I actually did want to talk a little bit about. Where has it gone? Was it this one? Okay, so this is from BMK8018. This is the responding to comments again. A comment on the responding to comments video. So, thanks for the video. I'm not sure if you or anyone you know might have insight on this, but I heard that in China you can't own a house or land for more than 70 years. Critics often point this out, saying you can't truly own property in China because after 70 years it's taken back. What actually happens after 70 years? Can a house be passed down to the kids? Random question, but it came up recently. So, I've done a bit of research on this. I had a fair bit of knowledge about this already, but I wanted to I wanted to make sure my answers were accurate. So, I got on AI, I started off on AI and asked the question, in China, I understand that if you have a building, your building is on land and the land has a 70-year lease. I'm curious, if you own an apartment in an apartment building and that 70-year lease runs out, what happens? And the response is as follows. In China, if the 70-year land use right term of an apartment expires, the following situations may occur. Automatic renewal. According to Article 359, Paragraph 1 of the Civil Code, the right to use residential construction land shall be automatically renewed upon the expiration of its term. This means that the owner of the apartment can continue to use the land and the house without paying for renewal separately. Payment of renewal fees. Although the law stipulates automatic renewal, it also states that the payment or exemption of renewal fees shall be handled in accordance with the provisions of laws and administrative regulations. At present, there is no clear legal provision on whether renewal fees need to be paid and the specific payment standard. In practice, it is possible that the land transfer fee needs to be paid according to the then land market price to continue using the land and the house. And then we have state-owned land recovery. If the state has a demolition plan for public interest needs, it will recover the land without compensation. At the same time, it will conduct a value assessment on the above ground structures and give corresponding compensation. So, as you know, we'll keep going through this before we talk about the next bit that I want to talk about, which is sort of related to what we just said. So, I then asked, will there be any changes to the ownership of the apartment after the land use right expires? Generally, the ownership of the apartment itself will not change after the land use right expires. The ownership of the buildings and structures on the land, including apartments, still belongs to the owners. We won't go through the rest of that. So we then had, with a residential apartment, what about if the original purchaser has died and the apartment is now owned by children or someone else who has inherited that apartment? The original purchaser if the original purchaser of a residential apartment has died and the apartment is inherited by children or other heirs, the following applies regarding the land use right and ownership. And it goes on and talks about that, and basically it's the same as if it's the original owner. There's no real change. The property on the land becomes owned by the heirs, whoever has inherited that property, and the situation with the land and the lease of the land remains exactly the same. I then asked, when was the 70-year land lease thing first initiated? So that sort of set of rules started in 1990. Article 12 of these regulations clearly states that the maximum term of land use rights granted is determined according to the purpose, among which the residential land is 70 years, industrial land is 50 years, commercial, tourist and entertainment land is 40 years, and the other or comprehensive land is 50 years. I don't know what other or comprehensive land would be. So I then asked, so what if that was first initiated in 1990 and the building was built in, for example, 1950, was that exempt from the 70 years? Did the 70 years start from 1990, or do they backdate the use to 1950? And So basically they are not exempt. It goes back to when the land was first leased. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So with that, I've got a real example of what happened. I actually gave Frankel a call earlier because he knows a bit about this, because he was a big part of organising and planning our new school. So when we built our new campus out at Ding Hu, out at the new district of Ding Hu, we had where our new campus was built was a village prior to the building happening. So land had to be acquired. So what happened there was the villagers were basically all moved out. I asked Frankel, were they, yeah, so they were all compensated for their buildings. They basically get so you own the buildings, structures, whatever's on your land, but you don't own the land itself. So they were all compensated for their buildings, for the things that they owned on their land. Now, if you've seen my other videos going back a little while, walking around the new district of Ding Hu, you know there's a hotel, the Hilton or the Sheraton, I can't remember the brand of hotel, but there's a big hotel out there, and next to that hotel is a big tower. And just behind that tower, there are, I believe it's 10 apartment buildings. And basically everybody from that village was given the right to one of the apartment buildings. Everybody got a new apartment building in this new area. So the community, if they chose, could stay in the same area and still be a community, still living in the same sort of spot. They've got, they've been given, I believe they've been given bits of farmland and stuff around those apartment buildings so they can carry on with their gardening and veggie growing and stuff. Now they could have chosen, if they wanted to, not to live there and take money instead. They could have been paid out for their buildings, which I can't tell you whether any of them took that option over the top of the other option of being given an apartment. Now, to Frankel's knowledge, and this is very much up in the air, he wasn't 100% sure about this. Wow, we've got a heap of bikes out here. Looks like they're heading out doing some publicity stuff for their bikes. He wasn't entirely sure about this, but he thinks that if you choose to take money for your house, you don't actually get cash. You get a voucher, like a government voucher, that allows you to go and use that voucher to buy another apartment. If you don't want to move into the apartments that have been allocated for that village, you can go and buy an apartment or a house somewhere else. So they had that option. Now, if you've also seen the videos I've done in the past, you know, maybe a year ago, the videos that we've done around our new school, you will know that there was one house out the front of our school where the guy refused to move. He wasn't interested in selling. He didn't think it was enough or something. I don't exactly know the circumstances, but this guy was apparently he was actually a lawyer. He'd never lived in the house. I never saw anybody in that house, but he was a lawyer, so he could sort of tie up the tie up the government a little bit with legalese and stuff. So he refused. And he was there for, you know, that house was there for 2 or 3 years before it actually got knocked down. I think in the last, must have been the last holidays, I think it disappeared. They, yeah, they finally managed to, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they came to an agreement or the government just said, right, no, that's it, we're not fighting anymore, the house is going. So yeah, that house has disappeared now. He, yeah, I don't know what the settlement was there. Hopefully it came to an agreeable settlement, but I don't know. So basically, in answer to that question, yes, you have a 70-year lease. At the end of 70 years, you have to renew that lease. And generally, I think most of the time, leases are renewed. Yeah, there will be times when companies will come in and say, oh, we want to build apartment buildings here, we'll give you however much money to sell up. So places won't be renewed. But yeah, you do get compensated. And from what I've heard, people are compensated fairly. People are compensated very fairly. That's a better way than saying it, rather than the double use of fairly. Yeah, I haven't heard of many complaints, although that will differ. You know, each province will have their own way of doing things, their own metrics on calculating how much property is worth if they're going to knock property down. They'll all have their own appeals provisions and stuff like that. So I don't think, and again, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think there is really any national, the laws are national, but they're run provincially. So yeah, I don't know where that works. There will be there will be things, I'm sure, where, well, I don't know, maybe if the federal government wants to build something, maybe they have to go through the provincial government. I'm not sure. But yeah, so basically, to answer your question, yes, there is a 70-year lease thing, or 50 or 40, depending on the land use. Most people, I do believe, redo their leases. In fact, I'm pretty sure if you go back through Jerry's take on China, I'm pretty sure he talked about this, and he actually had an example of somebody renewing their lease, and he actually mentioned the prices. It's actually very, very cheap. You know, it's not a lot of money to renew the lease. The government's not, you know, making money out of this. It is mainly an administrative fee, from my understanding. So yeah, it's the 70-year thing is, yes, it's true, but I don't think it's very common that people actually lose their property after 70 years. And when you think about it, 70 years, you're talking about land that was originally built on in what, 1955. So it's a long time ago, and a lot of buildings that were built back then are probably ready to be knocked down and rebuilt by now anyway. So it's not like it's going to be a huge problem. Handing down property to kids, yes, you can. The kids will own that property and will take over the lease. So when the lease expires, they will have to renew that lease for themselves. I'm just trying to think, is there any other? No, I think that pretty much covers it all. I might have woven around a little bit, but I hope that sort of answers some of your question, because it was a really good question, and it's something I was quite happy to dig a little bit further into. Have a quick dig through and see, do we have any other good comments worth having a look at here? From Charlie ZWL. Many such factories in Sydney 40 years ago. Factory workers could buy a house with ease in those days. Now even a university degree holder, hard to buy a unit. Living standards slip without the manufacture sector. I'm not sure that I agree with you that living standards slip without the manufacturing sector. Might be true, I'm not sure. I wouldn't have enough information. But for me, living standards slip when appropriate controls aren't put in place. I mean, that's a big thing for me. I mean, cost of living all over Australia has absolutely skyrocketed. And it's very, very hard to live anywhere in Australia at an affordable rate. Wages haven't kept up with inflation. Prices have just kept on growing. It's not really so much to do with. It's not so much to do with manufacturing, I don't think. Certainly, without having industries, it's going to make life harder. But it's not just manufacturing. Here's these bikes that were just parked up back down out the shop, taking photos in front of Python Gate here. I think it's more than just losing your manufacturing sector, but the manufacturing sector would be a big part of that. It was a big employer in Australia 40 years ago. But a lot of that has gone now. And it's funny, you'll hear people talk about, it's China stealing our jobs. Bullshit. It's companies owned by, Australian companies, American companies, whatever country owns these companies, wherever these companies are based, choosing to move their manufacturing to cheaper locations. It has nothing to do with China stealing the jobs. That's one thing that I really like about the Chinese government, is generally the things that they are interested in is the people. The people come before corporations, before profits and all this sort of thing. It is about community and stuff. So, and their policies reflect that. The things that you see happening in China, that your government policies, it is about protecting the people, giving the people a better life, making life better for the common person. Whereas, in the West, a lot of politicians, it's all about companies earning more money, and we're giving tax breaks to these huge multi-billion making companies, giving them tax breaks so that they want to come and operate in our little country. Well, maybe don't give them tax breaks. If they're making profits anyway, they don't need tax breaks. They're already making profits. They don't need to make more profits. Profitability should be good enough. But it's not the way our politicians think, sadly. Maybe one day that'll change. Maybe one day, people will start looking at how China does things and thinking, wow, that's actually a pretty good idea. But we're going to finish up there. They're the main comments I wanted to talk about. Okay, we were just about to end there, but as I'm carrying on walking back home, I remembered there was one other comment that I wanted to mention that I never answered. And that was somebody in one, I can't remember which video it was, I haven't pulled my phone out to look for the comment, but it was on one of the videos we did in Sing Sing in Yuen Phu, and somebody asked, how do you get to Sing Sing from overseas, you know, if you're a foreign visitor? So I thought we'd mention that just for Pete, yeah, because Sing Sing is a beautiful place. It is a place I would highly recommend go and visit if you get the opportunity. It is well worth your time. There's a lot of really cool stuff to go and see there. So to get there, I'm going to give you directions from Guangzhou, because that's probably the main place tourists are going to be flying into Guangdong province from. So if you're in Guangzhou, you get yourself to Guangzhou. To get to Sing Sing, at the moment it would be a bus, I think. You might, just trying to think about this, I've got a feeling you can get a slow train from Guangzhou to Yuen Phu City, which is, you know, sort of the main city of the region that Sing Sing is within. From Guangzhou, from Yuen Phu City, you would then have to get either a bus or hire a Didi from Yuen Phu to Sing Sing. If you hire a car, I don't think it's going to be terribly expensive. It costs me, depending on the service that I get from Sing Sing to get back here to Jiaoqing. The last trip we just did, we came back after the fireworks. I think that trip cost me, it was 75 RMB. So what's that, around $15 Australian for, you know, it's about an hour from Jiaoqing. Yuen Phu City, I would think Yuen Phu City is closer to Sing Sing than Jiaoqing is, although I couldn't be 100% certain of that. But I'd guess around that price. It wouldn't be much more. If it was any more, quite a good chance it would be considerably less, maybe 50 RMB. Bus is probably going to cost 25, 30 RMB. Again, I'm guessing, but that would be my educated guess on what that cost would be. In the near future, if you saw the video we did, the new train station out at Sing Sing, which is opening very, very soon, I think at the end of December, or sometime during December, it might be earlier in December, not 100% sure of the opening date. But once that is open, you will be able to get an intercity train. I originally thought the line was running, so the line at the moment runs to Jiaoqing, ends in Jiaoqing. I thought they were extending that line down that way. So I would be able to get a train from Jiaoqing through to Sing Sing. It looks like I may be wrong on that. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm still trying to find some more information about this, but it looks, I just got on my map and I followed the train lines on the map on my phone, and it looked like the train line to Sing Sing actually goes to Foshan. I don't know, because it's a new train line, maybe it's not just been updated on the map yet. I'm not sure, but there will be the intercity train. You will be able to get on the intercity train from Guangzhou, and whether it goes through Foshan and then to Sing Sing, or goes right the way through Jiaoqing and then down to Sing Sing, I'm not sure, but you will be able to do that train trip very, very soon. So yeah, if you're planning a trip over this way and you're coming to Guangdong province, get down to Sing Sing. It will be worth your trip. It is a magical place. The temples and stuff there, the natural scenery there, Tianlu Mountain, having a look around some of the factories and stuff. And there's some really good food in Sing Sing as well as wonderful people. You know, it's not a place that sees a lot of foreign tourists. So you get really, really well looked after if you do go there. So yeah, if you get the chance, do that trip. Whoever it was that made that comment, like I say, I haven't gone back into YouTube and dug through the comments to find out where it was. I just remembered that comment suddenly on my way home. So yeah, do it. If you're in this area, get to Sing Sing. I highly recommend it. I can probably put you in touch with some of my friends over there who will, I'm pretty sure, be happy to act as tour guides and help you out, help you with accommodation, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you are heading over there that way, let me know. I'll try and put you in touch with some people that can help you out. Or maybe I'll make a trip over there myself and be your personal tour guide. Back to saying farewell. Yeah, there were a few there that I did really like. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Yeah, questions, comments, hit us up down there in the comment sections. Like, share, subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. If there's anything you'd like to know about life here in China, in Guangdong, here in Jiaqing, again, down there in the comment section, hit us up. If you come up with a good idea for a video, we'll go make a video for you. As always, Facebook, Scott in China on Facebook. Come and join the group, get involved, and we've got a green light. Over the road we go.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Yes, if there's any, what was I saying? Right, rudely interrupted there. Yeah, if there's, if you find stuff on Facebook that's worth sharing about life here in China, come join the group, share the stuff in the group, help spread a bit of knowledge about this place because there's a lot of misinformation out there. But for now, thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe and we will see you all in the next one. Cheers.